The inside of the alien ship was like stepping into a living organism. Taeyang led the team through the doorway, their flashlights cutting through the dim glow. The walls were not metal or plastic like human ships. They pulsed with faint light as if blood flowed through them. Patterns moved across the surfaces, flowing like water. Hana reached out to touch a wall. It was warm. She pulled her hand back quickly. "This is not technology like ours," she said. "This is biological. Grown, not built." The corridors branched in strange ways. They did not follow straight lines or logical paths. They curved and twisted like veins in a body. Some passages were wide enough for 10 people. Others narrowed until they could barely squeeze through. The floor beneath their feet was soft, almost spongy. Jiwon tried to interface her computer with the ship's systems. She found ports that looked like connection points and attached her cables. Her screen filled with data, but none of it made sense. The code was completely alien. The patterns did not match any known programming language. "I cannot understand any of this," she said, frustrated. "It is like trying to talk to a tree." "Maybe that is exactly what we are doing," Hana said. Outside the ship, the jungle was changing rapidly. Through the windows, they could see the transformation. The bioluminescence was spreading like a wave across the entire planet. Trees that had stood still for millions of years were now moving. New growth burst from the ground. Flowers bloomed in seconds. The jungle was not just alive. It was awake. Minho kept looking back toward the exit. His instincts told him they should leave, but the door had closed behind them. He tried to open it, but nothing happened. They were trapped inside until the ship decided to let them out. The team went deeper into the vessel. They passed through chambers filled with strange equipment. Devices that looked like they should do something important, but their purpose was impossible to guess. Everything was covered in that organic material, pulsing with faint energy. Then the lights began to flicker. The glow in the walls dimmed. The patterns stopped flowing. For a moment, everything went dark except for their flashlights. Then the lights came back, but weaker than before. "The power is failing," Taeyang said. "Whatever energy this ship has been running on, it is almost gone." They moved faster now, following the strongest energy signatures. Taeyang's scanner led them to a massive chamber at the heart of the ship. When they entered, all 4 of them stopped and stared. The reactor chamber was enormous. In the center floated a crystalline structure the size of a house. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The crystal pulsed with light, but the pulses were irregular, weak, dying. Around it, organic structures reached up like roots trying to drink from a fading spring. "That is the power source," Jiwon said. "And it is shutting down." Taeyang circled the crystal slowly, studying it from every angle. His engineering mind raced through possibilities. The crystal was some kind of energy storage system. It had been holding power for millions of years, but now it was empty. When it died completely, the ship would go dark. The jungle outside would probably die too. "We need to give it more power," he said. "With what?" Minho asked. "We do not even understand how it works. Our shuttle has a fusion generator. It is not compatible, but maybe I can rig something up. Create a bridge between our technology and theirs." "That is crazy," Minho said. "You could blow up the shuttle. You could blow up the ship. You could blow up all of us. Or I could save it," Taeyang replied. He looked at the dying crystal. "If we do nothing, this ship dies. The jungle dies. We might never get another chance to learn from this." Hana was watching the crystal carefully. She had noticed something the others had not. The organic structures around it were moving, reaching toward them, toward their equipment. "I think the ship wants us to try," she said. "Look at those tendrils. They are reaching for our technology." It took them an hour to bring the fusion generator from the shuttle. It was heavy and awkward to carry through the twisting corridors. They set it up in the reactor chamber and Taeyang began working. He stripped cables. He bypassed safety systems. He created connections that no engineer would ever approve. The others watched nervously. Jiwon monitored the power levels. Hana studied the ship's reaction. Minho kept his hand near his weapon, as if that would help if something went wrong. Finally, Taeyang had everything connected. A crude bridge between human fusion technology and ancient alien bioengineering. It should not work. The two systems were completely incompatible, but he had to try. "Everyone step back," he said. He activated the generator. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the cables began to glow. Energy flowed from the human machine into the alien crystal. The crystal brightened. The pulse grew stronger, but it did not stop there. The energy surged back. It flowed through the cables into their equipment. Sparks flew. Alarms screamed. The feedback loop was too strong. Taeyang tried to disconnect the cables, but they were fused together now, melted by the intense power flowing through them. The crystal blazed with light. Energy raced through every part of the ship. The walls became brilliant. The floor vibrated beneath their feet. Outside, the jungle erupted with life. Through the chamber windows, they watched in amazement as the planet transformed. Trees shot up hundreds of meters in minutes. The bioluminescence became so bright it was like daylight. New species of plants burst from the ground. The jungle was not just waking up. It was being reborn, and then they felt it, all four of them at once. A presence in their minds. Not words exactly, but meaning. Communication. The ship was talking to them. The sensation was overwhelming. It was like standing in front of something vast and ancient, something that had been alone for millions of years, something that had been waiting. "Can you hear that?" Ji-won whispered. "We all can," Hana said. Tears were running down her face. "It is beautiful." The presence grew stronger, clearer, and then they heard actual words formed in their minds in a language they somehow understood. At last. "The seeds have found new gardeners." Taeyang stumbled backward. His jumpstart had worked, but he had done far more than restore power to an old ship. He had awakened something that had been sleeping since before humans existed, something intelligent, something powerful. The crystal in the center of the chamber pulsed with steady light now. The organic structures around it moved like they were dancing. The ship hummed with energy. Outside, the jungle had transformed into something impossible. It glowed so brightly they could see it from space. The entire planet had become a beacon of light in the darkness. The voice spoke again in their minds, gentler this time. "Do not be afraid. You have given me life. Now let me show you what I am." Minho finally found his voice. He looked at Taeyang with wide eyes. "What have we done?" Taeyang stared at the glowing crystal, at the living walls, at the transformed jungle beyond. "I have no idea," he said quietly, "but I think we are about to find out." Taeyang Kim stared at the screen in front of him and frowned. The numbers made no sense. He had been scanning this planet for 3 days now, looking for minerals and water, the usual things survey teams searched for. But these readings were different. They were too perfect, too organized. Nature did not work like this. He leaned back in his chair aboard the survey ship and rubbed his tired eyes. Outside the window, the planet called Kepler 442c hung in space like a green jewel. It was covered in jungle from pole to pole. Thick clouds wrapped around it, hiding most of the surface. His team had been orbiting for days, running scans, taking samples. Standard procedure. Nothing exciting ever happened on survey missions. Until now. Taeyang pulled up the scan again. Deep below the jungle canopy, something was producing energy. Not much, just a faint pulse like a heartbeat. But it was steady. Regular. The signal came from a structure buried under kilometers of vegetation. The shape was geometric, symmetrical, definitely not natural. The door to the bridge slid open. Hana Park walked in carrying a cup of coffee. She was the team's biologist, always interested in plants and animals more than rocks and minerals. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail and she looked as tired as Taeyang felt. "Still looking at those weird readings?" she asked. "Come look at this," Taeyang said. He pointed at the screen. "Tell me what you see." Hana leaned over his shoulder and studied the display. Her eyes widened. She set down her coffee and started typing, pulling up different views of the scan. She was quiet for a long moment. "That is not geology," she said finally. "That is something built. Something big." "I know," Taeyang said. "The question is, do we report it or do we check it out first?" Hana looked at him with a mixture of excitement and concern. "We are supposed to report anything unusual immediately. That is the protocol. Protocol also says we need to verify our findings before making reports. We could be wrong. Could be a mineral deposit with unusual properties." Taeyang knew he was reaching, but he also knew what would happen if they reported this. Earth Command would send a military ship. Scientists would take over. His small survey team would be pushed aside. They would never know what was really down there. Hana bit her lip. "We should at least tell Minho and Ji-won." They called the other 2 team members to the bridge. Minho Choi was their security officer, a careful man who always thought about dangers first. Ji-won Lee handled communications and systems. She was quiet but smart. always noticing details others missed. When they saw the scans, Minho shook his head immediately. No way. We report this now. This is way above our level. Just one look, Taeyang said. We take the shuttle down, do a quick scan from ground level, get some clear readings. 2 hours maximum. If it looks dangerous, we come right back up. Ji-won studied the scans carefully. The energy signature is very weak. Whatever it is, it has been there a long time. Probably dormant. She looked up at Taeyang. I want to see it. That made it 3-1. Minho argued for another 10 minutes, but finally gave in. He made them promise to be careful. They would keep their weapons ready. They would stay in contact with the ship. At the first sign of trouble, they would leave. 2 hours later, their shuttle was descending through the atmosphere of Kepler 442c. The jungle was unlike anything Taeyang had ever seen. The trees were massive, hundreds of meters tall. Their trunks were thick as buildings. The canopy was so dense that almost no sunlight reached the ground. But the jungle was not dark. It glowed. Bioluminescence covered everything. The bark of the trees pulsed with soft blue light. Vines hanging between branches glowed green and purple. Flowers the size of dinner plates shone like lanterns. The entire jungle was lit from within, creating a dreamlike landscape of shifting colors. This is amazing, Hana whispered. She pressed her face against the shuttle window. The diversity here must be incredible. I have never seen bioluminescence on this scale. The shuttle descended through multiple layers of canopy. The trees seemed to move aside as they passed, branches bending away from their path. Hana noticed it first. Are you seeing this? The plants are moving. Not from our engines. They are deliberately moving out of our way. Wind patterns, Minho said, but he did not sound convinced. Finally, they reached the jungle floor. The ground was covered in soft moss that glowed faintly yellow. Massive roots crisscrossed everywhere, creating natural paths. The air was thick and humid, filled with strange scents. And there, rising from the earth like the skeleton of an ancient beast, was the structure. It was enormous. Even partially buried, it stretched for kilometers. The hull was smooth and dark, covered in patterns that seemed to flow like water. Vines and roots grew over it, through it, around it. The jungle had not consumed the structure. The jungle had grown from it. The two were inseparable. That is a ship, Ji-won said quietly. An alien ship. They landed the shuttle and put on their environment suits. Minho checked his weapon twice. They stepped out onto the glowing moss. The ship was even more impressive up close. Taeyang ran his scanner over the hull. The material was like nothing in their databases. It was metal but also organic. It had been here for millions of years according to the dating analysis, yet it showed no signs of decay. Hana was examining the plants growing on the ship. She took samples, ran tests. Her hands were shaking with excitement. The roots are connected directly to the ship's hull, not just growing on it, connected to it. The ship is feeding the jungle, or the jungle is feeding the ship. I cannot tell which. They walked along the massive hull looking for an entrance. The ship stretched so far in both directions that they could not see where it ended. After 20 minutes of searching, they found it. A doorway perfectly preserved, covered in glowing vines. As they approached, the vines moved. They pulled back, revealing the entrance clearly. The door itself began to glow with the same soft light as the jungle. It knows we are here, Minho said. His hand moved to his weapon. We should go back, he added. Report this. Let the experts handle it. But Taeyang was already moving forward. His curiosity was stronger than his caution. He reached out and touched the panel next to the door. The effect was immediate. The panel flared with light. The glow spread from his hand, racing across the hull like electricity through wires. Inside the ship, deeper lights began to flicker. Systems that had been dead for millions of years stirred to life. And outside, all around them, the jungle began to change. The bioluminescence grew brighter. Plants that had been still started moving. Flowers opened. Vines reached upward. The entire jungle was waking up, responding to the ship's activation. The soft glow became a brilliant light that spread through the canopy like wildfire. Taeyang pulled his hand back, but it was too late. The process had begun. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Air rushed out, ancient but somehow fresh. Beyond the doorway, corridors glowed with gentle light. The ship was inviting them in. What did you do? Minho asked. Taeyang looked at his hand, then at the glowing jungle around them, then at the open doorway. I think, he said slowly, I just woke something up. The presence called itself Velthar. That was the closest translation to human language that their minds could process. Over the next hours, Velthar taught them how to communicate properly. It was not like talking to a person. It was like talking to an entire forest that could think. Velthar was not a single mind in a single body. It was spread throughout the ship and the jungle. Every tree, every vine, every glowing flower was part of Velthar. The consciousness was distributed across millions of living things, all connected, all thinking together. The team gathered in the reactor chamber, sitting on the floor while Velthar spoke in their minds. The alien presence was patient, almost gentle as it explained its existence. "I was once like you," Velthar said. "I was an individual. I had one body, one mind. I was Kalith." "Kalith?" Hana asked aloud. She had learned she could speak and Velthar would understand. "My people, the builders of this vessel. We were explorers, scientists, gardeners of life across the stars." Velthar showed them images directly in their minds. The team saw visions of the Kalith civilization. Beings that looked like walking trees, tall and graceful, with skin like bark and eyes that glowed like the bioluminescent jungle. They saw cities grown from living plants, ships like the one they stood in, but whole and vibrant, sailing between the stars. The Kalith had not built their technology from metal and circuits. They had grown it. They had mastered biological engineering to a level humans could barely imagine. Their ships were alive. Their cities were alive. Everything they created was part of a vast living network. "Where are they now?" Jiwon asked. "Where did the Kalith go?" Velthar was quiet for a moment. When it spoke again, there was something like sadness in its words. They transcended. They became something beyond physical form. They left this reality behind, moving to a place where thought itself is the only existence. But before they left, they created these seed ships, a gift to whatever species might find them. Taeyang leaned forward. His engineering mind was racing with questions. "Why did you stay? Why did you not go with them?" "I chose to remain. Someone needed to tend the seeds until they could grow. I merged with this ship, became part of its systems, waited for beings curious enough to wake me." Velthar explained how the seed ships worked. They were designed to land on empty planets and slowly terraform them over millions of years. The ship would create a jungle, a living ecosystem that would prepare the world for intelligent life. When other species found the ships and activated them, they would inherit both the technology and the responsibility. "But you are different from what we expected," Velthar said. "The Kalith designed these ships for species that communicate through biological means. Species that could merge with the ship as I did. You are not biological enough. You use machines. Is that a problem?" Minyo asked warily. "No, it is fascinating. You solved a problem the Kalith never considered. You bridged the gap between our technology and yours with crude tools and clever thinking. You jury-rigged a connection. Very human, I think." There was something like amusement in Velthar's tone. Taeyang felt his face grow warm. His makeshift solution had worked, but calling it crude was accurate. Velthar continued explaining. When Taeyang had connected the fusion generator, he had created an interface the Kalith had never imagined. The ship had expected to bond with organic minds. Instead, it found machines. But the connection worked. The team could now sense the ship through their equipment. They could give it commands through their computers. Hana experimented first. She focused on her scanner and thought about the jungle. Immediately, she felt a response. She could sense the health of every plant for kilometers. She knew which ones needed water, which ones were growing, which ones were dying. The information flowed into her scanner and from there into her mind. "This is incredible," she breathed. "I can feel the entire ecosystem." Jiwon tried next. Through her computer, she accessed systems that had been incomprehensible before. The alien code now made sense. She could see the ship's structure, its power distribution, its functions. She could control basic operations with a thought. Even Minho, who had been the most skeptical, felt the connection. Through his weapons targeting system, he could sense the jungle's defense capabilities. The ship had ways to protect itself that were both terrifying and beautiful. "You have bonded with the ship now," Velthar explained. "Not biologically as the Kalith intended, but technologically. You are its new caretakers, its new gardeners." "What does that mean exactly?" Taeyang asked. "It means the ship will listen to you. It will respond to your needs. But it also means you are responsible for it. For the jungle. For everything this seed has created." The weight of that responsibility settled over them. They were four ordinary humans who had stumbled onto something far beyond their understanding. Now they were connected to an alien ship in a living jungle that covered an entire planet. Velthar sensed their worry. Its presence in their minds became warmer, more reassuring. Do not fear. I will teach you. I have waited millions of years. I can be patient. Then Velthar showed them something that made them forget their worries. The reactor chamber walls became transparent, showing not the jungle outside but a view of space. Stars appeared, thousands of them, and among the stars were points of brighter light, each one pulsing with the same energy as the ship around them. What are those? Hana asked other seed ships. Thousands of them. The Kalath scattered them across this entire galaxy before they left. Each one is waiting to be found. Each one carries the gift of life. The team stared at the star map in awe. Each point of light was another ship like this one. Another jungle waiting to grow. Another chance for life to spread across the stars. This is the Kalath legacy, Velthar said. And now it is yours as well. Jiwan was the first to understand the implications. Her voice was barely a whisper. This is the greatest discovery in human history. Yes, Velthar agreed, but also the greatest responsibility. These ships are powerful. They can create life. They can terraform worlds. In the wrong hands, they could be dangerous. Minho understood that immediately. His military training made him think of all the ways this technology could be misused. People will want to control this. Governments, corporations, they will fight over it. Yes, Velthar said simply. That is why I showed you this now. You must decide what to do. You are bonded to me. I will follow your guidance. But choose carefully. The Kalath left these ships as gifts, not weapons. The star map slowly faded. The walls became solid again. The team sat in silence, each of them processing what they had learned. They had come to this planet looking for minerals. Instead, they had found a legacy that could change the future of humanity. And now they had to figure out what to do with it. Taeyang looked at his teammates. We need to contact Earth Command. Tell them what we have found. He paused. But we need to do it carefully. We need to make sure this stays a gift and does not become a weapon. Before anyone could respond, Jiwan's computer beeped urgently. She looked at the screen and her face went pale. Too late, she said. Earth Command already knows something happened here. They detected the energy spike when we activated the ship. A military fleet is already on its way. They will be here in 3 days. The next 3 days were tense. The team barely slept. They spent every waking hour learning about the ship and preparing for what was coming. Earth Command sent message after message demanding explanations. Taeyang answered some and ignored others. He was buying time trying to figure out the right approach. The military fleet approaching was massive. 20 ships, including 3 destroyers. Earth Command was not taking any chances. They wanted control of whatever had created that enormous energy spike. They wanted the alien technology. Through their connection with Velthar, the team learned more about the ship's capabilities. It was not just a vessel or a terraforming tool. It was also designed for defense. The Kalath had known their seed ships might face dangers. Hana discovered the jungle could produce spores that would disable electronics. Jiwan found systems that could generate electromagnetic pulses. Minho located biological weapons that could create acidic rain or release predatory plants. The defenses were incredible and terrifying. We cannot use these, Hana said firmly. Those ships are full of people. Our people. The ship will use them automatically if it feels threatened, Velthar explained. I am designed to protect myself and my caretakers. When the fleet arrives, I will interpret them as a threat. Then we need to convince you they are not a threat, Taeyang said. And we need to convince them not to act threatening. The team argued about what to do. Minho thought they should surrender everything to proper authorities. Hand over the ship, let the experts handle it. It was too big for 4 survey crew members to manage. Jiwan worried about weaponization. She had seen the military files, knew how governments thought. They would want to study the ship's defenses. They would want to replicate them. Turn gifts into weapons. Hana believed the ship should remain free, autonomous. No government or corporation should own it. The Kalath had created these seed ships as gifts to all life, not just to whoever found them first. Taeyang listened to all of them. He understood each perspective, but he also knew they needed a solution that would protect the ship and prevent violence. He spent hours thinking, planning, discussing options with Velthar. On the 3rd day, the fleet arrived. 20 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the star system. They began their approach to the planet. Taeyang could feel the ship's defenses activating. The jungle was preparing to fight. "Velthar, I need you to trust me," Taeyang said. "Do not activate the defenses yet. Give me time to talk to them." "They are coming armed," Velthar replied. "I sense weapons. Intent to control? I know. But humans are complicated. We carry weapons even when we want peace. We prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. Give them a chance," Velthar hesitated. Taeyang could feel the ship's uncertainty. After millions of years alone, Velthar was learning to trust again. Learning to understand a species very different from the Kalith. "Very well," Velthar said finally. "I will wait. But if they attack, I will defend us." Taeyang opened a direct communication channel to the fleet's flagship. He bypassed all the normal protocols and contacted Admiral Yunji Quan directly. It was a bold move, possibly a career-ending one, but he was bonded to an alien ship now. His career was already over anyway. The Admiral's face appeared on the screen. She was an older woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Engineer Kim," she said coldly, "you have a lot of explaining to do." "Yes, Admiral, and I am ready to explain everything. But first you need to understand something. The ship you are approaching is not just technology. It is alive. It is intelligent, and it is capable of defending itself." He showed her everything. The Kalith history, the seed ships scattered across the galaxy, the living jungle, the defense capabilities. He held nothing back. The Admiral listened without interrupting, her expression growing more serious with each revelation. When he finished, she was quiet for a long moment. "You are telling me that you have bonded with an alien artificial intelligence that controls a planet-wide biological weapon system? That is one way to put it. But it is not a weapon. It is a gift. The Kalith created these ships to spread life, not death. We need to honor that. And how do you propose we do that? This is the most significant discovery in human history. Every government on Earth will want control of it." Taeyang took a deep breath. This was the moment he had been preparing for. "I propose we make the ship neutral territory, protected by international treaty. It will share its knowledge freely with all of humanity, but it will not be owned. Not by any government, not by any corporation. It will remain autonomous with us as its caretakers." The Admiral laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "You think Earth Command will agree to that? You think the Chinese, the Europeans, the Africans will just accept a neutral zone controlled by 4 survey crew members? They will if the alternative is war. Admiral, the ship can defend itself. I have shown you its capabilities. If your fleet tries to take control by force, people will die. Maybe everyone. Is that what you want?" The Admiral's face hardened. But Taeyang could see the calculation in her eyes. She was a military leader, yes, but she was also smart. She knew a no-win scenario when she saw one. "You are asking me to trust you. To trust an alien intelligence. To trust that you will not abuse this power. Yes, that is exactly what I am asking. Because the alternative is to try to take it by force. And Admiral, I do not think you will win that fight." The tension was unbearable. Taeyang could feel Velthar waiting, ready to activate defenses at the first sign of attack. He could see his teammates watching nervously. Everything balanced on this moment. Finally, the Admiral spoke. "I will present your proposal to Earth Command, but I need guarantees. I need to know that this ship will not be used as a weapon. I need oversight, transparency." "Agreed. We will allow inspections. We will share all our research. We will work with scientists from every nation. But the ship remains autonomous." The Admiral nodded slowly. "I will arrange a meeting with the United Earth Council. You will have to present your case to them. And Engineer Kim, this better work. Because if it does not, we will have no choice but to use force. And I do not want to see what happens then." The connection ended. The fleet maintained its position but did not advance. Taeyang sagged with relief. It was not over, but it was a start. Over the next days, negotiations continued. Diplomats arrived. Representatives from every major government, scientists, military advisors. The small survey ship became the center of humanity's attention. Taeyang and his team presented their case again and again. They showed the Kalith legacy. They demonstrated the ship's peaceful purposes. They argued for cooperation over conquest. It was not easy. There were threats, attempts at bribes, offers of power and wealth. But the team held firm. And slowly, grudgingly, humanity began to listen. Finally, a treaty was drafted. The Kepler 442c Accords. The ship would be declared neutral territory. It would be studied but not owned. Its knowledge would be shared freely. An international team of scientists would work with Velthar, learning from the Kalath legacy. When the treaty was signed, Taeyang felt like he could breathe again for the first time in weeks. But that night, as he stood in the bioluminescent jungle, Hana found him with urgent news. "I have been studying the star map Velthar showed us," she said, "looking at all the other seed ships, and one of them is dark. Its signal is fading. The jungle is dying." She looked at him with worried eyes. "It is only 50 light years away. We could reach it with the ship's FTL technology. But we need to go now, before it is too late." The journey through faster-than-light space was unlike anything the team had experienced before. Human FTL technology worked by bending space, creating tunnels between points. It was violent, uncomfortable, and slow compared to what the seed ship could do. The Kalath method was different. The ship did not push through space. It grew through it. Velthar explained that they were creating temporary biological connections between points in space, using the ship as a living bridge. The sensation was smooth, almost peaceful. Like sliding through water, they traveled 50 light years in less than a day. When they dropped back into normal space, the dying planet was before them. It was a sad sight. Where Kepler 442c had been vibrant and glowing, this world was gray and withered. The jungle still existed, but barely. The trees were skeletal. The bioluminescence was dim, flickering like dying embers. The planet looked sick. "Can you sense the other ship?" Taeyang asked Velthar. "Yes, it is there, but weak. Very weak. It is calling for help, but there is no one to answer." Until now, they descended to the surface. The dying jungle was worse up close. Plants crumbled at the slightest touch. The air smelled of decay. The ship itself was visible, partially exposed where the vegetation had died away. Its hull was dark, the patterns frozen and lifeless. Hana ran her scanners over everything. Her expression grew more worried with each reading. The ship is shutting down. Its bioreactor is failing. But not because it ran out of energy like ours did. "This is different. What is wrong with it?" Jiwan asked. "Mineral deficiency. The reactor needs specific elements to function. This planet does not have them. The ship has been slowly starving for thousands of years." Taeyang studied the scans. It was a simple problem with a simple solution. The Kalath had never anticipated this because they chose their seed planets carefully. But this ship had landed on a world that looked perfect, but lacked the right composition. The minerals the ship needed were rare on the planet, but they were common in the asteroid belt orbiting the star. "We need to mine those asteroids," Taeyang said. "Extract the minerals and deliver them to the ship." "With what equipment?" Minyo asked. "We are a survey team. We do not have mining tools, no, but we have something better. We have human industrial technology combined with Kalath biological processing." Taeyang's plan was ambitious. They would use their shuttle to retrieve small asteroids. Then they would use the dying ship's remaining biological systems to process the raw materials. The ship could break down the asteroids and extract the minerals it needed, but it needed help getting them first. It took 3 days of constant work. Taeyang piloted the shuttle to the asteroid belt. He used magnetic grapples designed for equipment recovery to capture small asteroids. Each trip brought back tons of raw material. On the surface, Hana worked with the dying ship directly. She interfaced with its fading consciousness, teaching it how to process the asteroids. The ship had the ability but had forgotten how to use it after so long without resources. Jiwan created a delivery system. She programmed drones to move the processed minerals directly into the bioreactor. Minyo supervised everything, making sure no one got hurt in the rush to save the ship. The first batch of minerals made an immediate difference. The ship's reactor pulsed with new light. The patterns on the hull began to move again, sluggishly at first, then with more energy. The jungle responded. New shoots pushed up through the dead vegetation. Withered trees showed hints of green. The bioluminescence grew brighter. The planet was healing. They worked without stopping. More asteroids, more minerals, more life flowing back into the dying ecosystem. After a week, the transformation was remarkable. The jungle was regenerating rapidly. Within a month, it would be as vibrant as Kepler 442c. And then, on the 7th day, a new presence touched their minds. It was similar to Velthar, but younger. less experienced. The dying ship had awakened. Its consciousness was forming, learning, understanding. It did not have a name yet. It had been alone and dormant for so long that it had forgotten itself. "Thank you," the new presence said simply. "I was fading, forgetting. You brought me back." Through Velthar, the team communicated with the awakening ship. They explained who they were, what had happened, how they had found it. The young ship listened with wonder. "You are the first gardeners I have known," it said. "And you came from another seed. We are family now." That night, the team sat on a hillside watching the jungle bloom. The bioluminescence was beautiful, painting the landscape in blues and greens and purples. Life was returning to a world that had nearly died. Velthar spoke to them, its presence warm in their minds. "You have proven yourselves. The Kalith left these ships as a test as much as a gift. To see what species would do with such power, you chose to save rather than exploit, to give rather than take. You are true gardeners. What happened to the Kalith?" Hana asked. "You said they transcended, but what does that mean?" Velthar was quiet for a moment, as if searching for words humans could understand. They became pure thought, pure consciousness. They exist in a dimension beyond physical reality, where they can experience existence without the limitations of bodies or time. They tried to bring all life with them, but most species cannot make that transition. "So they left the seed ships," Jiwan said, "to help other species evolve and grow." "Yes. They hoped that someday the species who found these ships would grow wise enough to join them. That is the ultimate purpose of the seed ships, not just to spread life but to nurture intelligence, to create new civilizations that might one day transcend as well." The weight of that revelation settled over them. They were not just caretakers of alien technology. They were stewards of a program designed to elevate all intelligent life in the galaxy. They returned to Kepler 442c eventually. But they left behind a research team on the healed planet. Scientists from Earth who would study the recovering jungle and help the young ship grow. Back on their home base, the team found that their discovery had changed everything. The Kepler 442c Accords had become a model for international cooperation. Nations that had been rivals were working together, united by the promise of Kalith technology. A research station was being built in the bioluminescent jungle. Scientists, engineers, biologists, and diplomats from every corner of Earth were coming to learn. The jungle had become a university, teaching humanity about biotechnology, sustainable ecosystems, and ways of thinking beyond pure machinery. Taeyang stood on a platform high in the glowing canopy one evening, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there were thousands of other seed ships, some thriving, some dying, some still waiting to be found. Hana joined him, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "I have been analyzing the star map," she said. "There are so many ships out there. Some will need help like the one we just saved. Others might have caretakers already. Other species that found their own seed ships," Taeyang said. "Exactly. We might not be alone in this. The Kalith created a network. We just have not realized it yet." As if in response to her words, Jiwon came running up the platform stairs. Her face was flushed with excitement. "We just received a signal from another seed ship. But this one is different. It has caretakers, aliens. They are reaching out to us." Taeyang felt his heart race. First contact with another intelligent species, but not as strangers, as fellow gardeners, united by the Kalith legacy. "Can we talk to them?" he asked. "Through the ships, yes. Velthar can translate. They want to meet us. They want to share knowledge." Hana smiled. It was the kind of smile that came from realizing something profound. The Kalith did not just leave us technology. They left us a community, a galaxy full of species connected by the same purpose, taking care of life, helping it grow. Minho joined them, having heard the news. For once, his cautious nature was overcome by excitement. "So what do we do now?" Taeyang looked out at the glowing jungle, then up at the stars. "We do what gardeners do. We help things grow. We meet our neighbors. We share what we have learned. And we find the other ships that need saving." Velthar's presence filled their minds, warm and approving. "The Kalith would be proud of you. You found our gift and understood its true purpose. Not power, not technology, connection. You have connected life across the stars. That is the greatest achievement of all." The 4 humans stood together in the bioluminescent night, looking up at a galaxy full of possibilities. They had started as a simple survey team. They had become the first human gardeners of an ancient legacy. And their work was just beginning. Somewhere out there, other species were waking to their own seed ships, learning the same lessons, taking on the same responsibilities. And soon they would all meet. A community of gardeners united across species and stars, all working toward the same goal: to nurture life, to spread wisdom, to grow together. That was humanity's place in the galaxy now. Not conquerors, not explorers alone, but gardeners tending to a legacy older than human civilization itself. And in the glowing jungle below, the seeds of that future were already beginning to bloom.